Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and boy, what a delight to have with us today Dana Ayers. She's the former White House and Department of Homeland Security staff member. She's a writer, an author, a speaker, public affairs officer for the U.S. Navy Reserve and veterans advocate. And she's the author of, listen to this title, this is terrific, Confessions of an Unlikely Runner, a guide to racing and obstacle courses for the averagely fit and halfway dedicated. That's probably me. Anyway, Dana, hi, how are you? Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
What a great title. Well, listen, your experience at the White House really took off incredibly. Your second day was 9/11?
It was. Yeah, it was definitely a crazy time. And then after 9/11, we had, anthrax scares, and at one point we had this DC sniper. And so it was a really crazy time my poor parents had to go through. But I've loved the city, and I ended up working for the Bush administration for about 5 years total, and loved every minute of it.
Could I just have you for a second explain to us that day in the White House?
Oh, gosh. It was surreal. I remember not hearing any alarms. So we were actually watching the smoke come off the Pentagon from the balcony of my office. And we looked up on the news and we saw on CNN that the White House was being evacuated. And we were like, we are? Because we were still in our office. And so I stepped out into the hallway and saw a Secret Service agent coming down the hall in full bomb squad gear. And he was like, "What are you doing? This is real, run." So I leaned back in my office and told my coworkers, "Guys, I think we're supposed to, do something." And so I remember walking out that day because nobody knew what was going on. But then in the following days, when we get more, reports of potential car bombs or whatever it was, we would all run at that point because we knew what was happening. But that first day, it was like, how is this possible? So people were kind of in a daze.
Wow. Wow, what a story. So what did you end up doing in the White House? Because you ended up with the Bush administration for quite a few years. How did you progress through the system there?
Well, there's a it's called Presidential Personnel Office within the administration. So if you want a job, so I started as an intern where I was working for free for 3 months. And then I said, I was done with college and I wanted to do something full time. And so they kind of spin your resume around the different departments and agencies. So I interviewed with, Department of Treasury, Department of Commerce, and I was lucky enough to find a full-time position back at the White House in the Office of Management and Budget. So I was a confidential assistant there for a while, and then moved. They were creating the Department of Homeland Security, and so my boss got detailed to that transition team, and so I went with her for a while, came back and did something else for the Domestic Policy Council, and then eventually went to Homeland full-time as a political appointee. I was a policy analyst for FEMA during Hurricane Katrina, so another crazy national disaster. And then I did a couple other things as a special assistant within Homeland before I finally left and became a consultant. And so I've been a consultant ever since.
Good for you. All right. Well, the book is How Running Changed Your Life. Were you a runner before all this?
No, President Bush is who got me into running. He was an avid runner, fast, and he created a 5K race just for staff. And I did it just because it was novel. I'd never ran before. But who can say no to running with Secret Service agents and the First Lady and Condoleezza Rice? So I ran it just because it was fun. I didn't train, but I kind of got hooked after that. And I started doing a lot of races. But I'm still really slow. It doesn't come naturally to me. And so the book is half entertaining because of the funny misadventures I've had, but also half encouraging for people who feel like they can't be a real runner because they're not fast enough or thin enough or dedicated enough, because I feel like I'm someone they can relate to.
All right, the book is entitled Confessions of an Unlikely Runner. There's a picture of it there on the screen. Let me encourage you to check it out. at Barnes & Noble or Amazon, Confessions of an Unlikely Runner by Dana Ayers. Dana, what's it like running with the President of the United States?
So I was in the same race with him. I was not anywhere near him. President Bush used to run 6-minute miles, and I am nowhere near that. So I was actually closer to the First Lady, who was walking the whole race. But, you know, it was just, President Bush is, it was just inspiring because he, you know, he was consistent. He would take his Secret Service agents out when they were in Texas for the weekends or out at Camp David. And, you know, he'd run 3 miles often. And so, like I said, I did the race just because it was novel and it was fun, but then I ended up getting hooked on it. So I have him to thank, and I'll actually see him next month in Dallas for a White House or a administration staff reunion. So I hope to tell him that he kind of inspired the book.
Well, you need to come to Oregon. We got a lot of great running trails here, so
definitely.
We'd love to have you on the trail. Well, listen, did you have any embarrassing moments as a runner?
Oh, yes. And I don't want to scare people because I don't think these are normal, but I kind of have embarrassing moments in life in general. So it definitely comes through in my running too. But yeah, I did one full marathon, and I was doing my longest training run, which was 20 miles. And my pants split open down the middle, like down the inside seam. And I was 13 miles in. I was 7 miles from my car. I didn't have any money or a cell phone on me. And so I talk about this in the book, but I ended up having to tie tape around my leg like a tourniquet that I had to take from a 7-Eleven alongside the road and run all the way back with this crazy hole in my pants and tape around it, and it ended up chafing the inside of my leg so bad that I couldn't run for the next week. So that ended up my worst injury. But I've had a lot of funny stuff happen. But it's been a fun adventure too. I've met so many great people running, and had so many great stories now. So
well, you know, one of the things that seems to be common out of runners is goal setting. It helps you not only in your running, but just overall life. Did you find that to be true?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think running is a great microcosm of life, and you can learn all things about yourself. You can learn all sorts of things about persevering, being resilient, and how to deal with failure. I do think that I've learned, you know, patience and how to keep going and why it's important to keep going all through running. So that's why I think it's something that everyone should try. And I think a lot of people are intimidated, and they think that it's only these super crazy, fast, skinny, dedicated people out there. And it's not. I've seen people of all shapes and sizes, people with disabilities, all finish races. And so it's a really welcoming community. And I think that there's so many rewards in it that everyone should give it a try.
Wow. Now, you picked up an interesting label along the way, the Ambassador of the Unlikelies. What is that? What does that mean?
Well, I feel like, you know, as an unlikely runner, for one thing, because like I said, I'm not athletic and it doesn't come naturally to me, but I found that in other parts of my life. I'm an unlikely White House staffer. You know, I didn't grow up politically connected. I didn't have a path into the White House like most people do. I didn't do a campaign. I say I got there because of God, because I feel like there's no reason that I should have ended up there. But I think that a lot of people see people in other situations and they think, man, I wish I could do that. And so the Ambassador for the Unlikely is kind of my way of saying, I don't think you should talk yourself out of things. I think there are ways to do all kinds of things in life, and you even if you feel like you are an unlikely candidate for that kind of thing, whatever it is, if it's running, if it's a dream job, if it's whatever, traveling the world, I think there are ways to get there. And so I feel like some of my stories in life kind of attest to that, because I found myself in a lot of situations I probably shouldn't have been in.
Well, let me say to our viewers again, check out the book. It's called The Confessions of an Unlikely Runner. For those watching on theDove TV, there it is, a picture of it on the screen. Let me encourage you to go to Barnes & Noble or go over to Amazon and get this book, Confessions of an Unlikely Runner. A couple more quick questions, Dana. I had the high honor of meeting the Bush family on a couple occasions when I was chairman of the state of Oregon, and got to go to his inauguration, which I highly regarded. I found the first family to be incredible. What was your take?
I love the Bushes. You know, I wasn't around them a ton, but when I was, both of them were very much like what you see on TV. I feel like they were very real, and yeah, I have fond memories of them.
So you're going to see him when? In a couple weeks?
Yeah, April 15th and 16th. There's going to be a reunion at the Bush Library, which I haven't been to yet, so I'm excited. Down in Dallas.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. All right, what do you want people to get from your book?
Like I said, I hope that it's entertaining. A lot of people have told me that they've laughed out loud at some of the stories, but more than that, I do hope that it's encouraging people, and I've gotten great feedback from readers who say it got them to run their first race, or it got them to keep running when they almost stopped. And that it's more than just running, that it's about more than just running, that it's taught them things in life. And so that makes me really happy. And I hope that it continues to motivate people. And I'd love to hear from readers. So all my contact information is on my website, dcdana.com. And so, you know, let me know what you think of the book, or let me know your own stories. So it's been really fun to connect with people.
What a joy to have you. Thank you. Let me just say to our viewers and listeners again, DC Dana, that's pretty good, dcdana.com. Look for the book in the stores. It's called The Confessions of an Unlikely Runner. I love the subtitle, A Guide to Racing and Obstacle Courses for the Averagely Fit and Halfway Dedicated. That's what she used to be. Now she's totally fit and totally dedicated.
No, I still have to struggle. I still have to teach myself the same tricks over and over, but it's only available on Amazon.com for the most part. So it's not in stores yet, but definitely available online.
Okay, thanks. Talk to you again soon, okay? Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.
I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.